Hi, Mr. Wisdom here. Want to talk real quick about policing in America. We need to get the politicians out of policing. They have no idea what they're doing. They do it from political point of view, not from crime stopping law enforcement point of view, and that's why it's been failing for so long. Now we do need, of course, have to have plenty of checks and balances on law enforcement so they don't get out of control. Um, every single law enforcement agent, no matter who they are, should wear a body cam. Where it's not just street patrol. We focus on the patrolmen, but what about the detectives? What about the FBI? What about ATF? What about all? Nobody talks about them. Everyone, they should all have body cam on them, all of them, and it should run constant, in my opinion, once they're on duty. um, but law enforcement in this country, they already know and they have known for decades how they need to keep crime somewhat in check. Because, to get rid of, to completely get rid of it, you can't. It's too big of a country. There's too many huge cities, too many gang members. They needed to nip that in the bud generations ago when it first was starting, and they didn't. So now the best you can do is minimize it and just kind of maintain that minimization. Um, but they know what to do. I myself, in 1993, I went to a police academy. I'm post certified. I worked in law enforcement in projects in Compton. I've made arrests. I've been in shootouts. So I know what it takes, especially when you're going against the more hardened ones. The really bad ones, the killers and the thugs, the drug dealers. You have to come down really hard on them. Period. So now, systematically for the last 30 some odd years, politicians have, excuse me, slowly chipped away at the ability of law enforcement. So first they took away nightsticks. Now in more recent years, they replaced them with those other collapsible sticks. But it's not the same. The P38 nightstick with the handle and the whole thing. If you were well trained on that, if someone had a knife, you could handle that person with that, no problem. You didn't need your gun. Excuse me. I was trained in that. Right, between that and maybe a pepper spray, and if you were well trained, you were good. But they took those away. Then some cities and states minimize the ability to use pepper spray. They take pepper spray away. You can only have the little tear gas and only the small little canisters that just smooth a little stream. And if there's a little bit of wind, if you don't catch them right, it's very ineffective, and you might get yourself. So that's been taken away, and they don't teach them how to fight anymore and how to subdue someone without using a chokehold, because a couple of people died using chokeholds, so they just stopped doing everything altogether. So you see these cops out there, they don't even know how to fight. They don't know how to defend themselves unless it's with a gun or a taser. So essentially, the police are down to just taser or a gun. And half the time, tasers either they don't work on the person, or it malfunctions, or it doesn't work well enough. Doesn't stick, bend in the clothing and whatnot. Especially like if it's wintertime and you're outside and they got all these clothing, that's not going to really do it, you know. So it essentially leaves them with a gun as their only option. So people say, well, why did you have to shoot them? They had a machete. You could have been able to. Well, now you know why. So and so they need to have better training on de-escalation, better training on physically fighting, and holds, non-choke holds. Ongoing psychological training, so they don't let the job really get to them. That's what happens a lot of times is the job gets to them because they're constantly being threatened and called a piece of crap, and people are saying F the police all the time. And so sometimes that gets to them, and then somebody spits at them or something, they just lose it, and then they end up beating them up, and now it's a big problem. So they need better psychological help. Plus, I think they need to be rotated to different areas much more frequently. So if you're in the gang unit and you stay there way too long, a bunch of years, yeah, you might know the area, but you could really psychologically be turned into something different than what you were when you started. So I think it should just be maybe a year in each location, and you slowly like the gang unit. You filter one guy out every year, and then the next guy, or one or two guys every year. You know, for example, and have them move around for a few years, and then come back. Stop and frisk. It works. Excuse me, I'm sorry. But it needs to be done properly. Not for racial reasons, not just purely at random, but you see guys that you know are gang members. If you have gangs in your city, you know who the gang members are. You stop them and, excuse me, you you ID them, you take pictures of their tattoos, their gang tattoos, so you know who they are. Every time you see them on the street, stop them, frisk them. And there's a good chance they're going to have guns, drugs, maybe a warrant. Maybe the person who's standing next to them, who they're dealing with, is on parole or has a warrant. You know, when back then in '93 in California, when I was at the academy, they said that 85% of arrests in California at that time were made during traffic stops. It's far less now because they took away the ability to stop them for any little reason. So they just want to have any reason. So you have broken tail, I'd pull you over. Let's see, who are you? I know it can be annoying. I myself, a few years later, I had a broken tail light, and I got pulled over 22 times in 5 weeks in my own city. But I didn't get mad. It was a little bit annoying, but I didn't get mad because I knew they were checking me out to see if I'm up to no good or not, you know? And that stuff works. You may not like it, but it works. You know, people, so if that happens a lot in your town, then the bad people that don't live in town don't drive through your town because they know there's a good chance they won't make it. They're going to get pulled over before they get through. So anyway, politicians need to get the hell out, and police need to do what they have to do, but with plenty of oversight, training, psychological training, physical training, de-escalation training, and body cams. If you do that, you can have a decent impact on crime, and especially have to have some anti-crime units as well. And things will be overall better. You might have some backlash from people on the street, but you know what? You want more dangerous people out there, or you want a little bit of backlash? I'll take less dangerous people out there. So that's all I wanted to say on that. Thanks, guys.